Good morning, buenos dias. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio. My name is Shannon Hawkins, and I've been a member here for 22 years. I currently serve as worship associate and aesthetics co-chair. I love this church because I believe, as Francis David said, we need not think alike to love alike. And although it's not always easy, I like being in a place that tries and most often succeeds in living that out. To me, it's proof in a little microcosm of how I wish the whole world could be. Our weekly worship is where we connect, share information, and inspiration. Let's acknowledge this geographic place where we currently are located, Guanajuato, the home, and they didn't give me that pronunciation, they spelled out the next one, sorry. Guanajuato, that's better. The home and traditional lands of the Coahuilatan people, the original and indigenous stewards of this land to which we all belong, now called San Antonio, Bexar County, Texas. Let us also bear in mind that many indigenous peoples have not been recognized by our federal government, even as they continue to live among us as vital contributors to and of our communities. Indeed, we speak these truths as one small step towards becoming the diverse and multicultural community of communities we all aspire to be. At our church, we strive to enact a universal love that binds us in mutual care and affection, especially in our work for justice for all and for our planet. Our faith is all-inclusive, and all means all. If you are new to us or visiting for the first time today, we welcome you to fill out a visitor's card. We'd like to get to know you and follow up with you. Wherever you are on your life's journey, we hope you will find a place with us.
Today we will explore the journey of celebration. And may I suggest we might learn a little bit more about how to celebrate the little moments. To do that, we really don't need decorations or presents or that kind of additional equipment to understand that there are moments that are enhanced by a celebrative attitude, if you will. Maybe we just mostly need to notice the moment. You could do that by asking, what am I proud of today? Or what have I achieved? Or What do I like about my life? Where's my good energy flowing that I could celebrate? Perhaps you got a check in the mail or a direct deposit to your electronic account. Maybe you finished a tough project. Maybe you handled a difficult moment with courage and grace in a positive way. Maybe you helped someone else to find the courage to do something meaningful, or you performed some volunteer service of a worthy cause. You see, there are many occasions to celebrate, especially the little moments. Remembering today that in our church, worship means to consider matters of worth. Together this morning, let us celebrate the joy of our gathering together by stepping out of our routine, sinking into the music, the words, the visuals, the presence of one another for a few minutes and consider the value of celebration. And to get us started, I'm going to invite you now to pass a word or gesture of peace to your neighbor. Someone you may know, someone you may have yet to know, and this could be an opportunity to meet them. So let's pass the peace. And for those of you viewing online, it'll be wonderful to have you with us when you can come, because really passing the peace in the presence of one another is so much richer. Can I get an amen on that? Amen. All right. I'm going to invite us now to rise in body or spirit, go to your gray hymnal, number 21, as we're going to sing, I guess all the verses, For the Beauty of the Earth. And what a thing to celebrate today. Thank you, and be seated. It's time for our chalice lighting with Terri Chadwick.
The flaming chalice unites our members in worship and symbolizes the spirit of our faith. May the single flame we now kindle remind us that we are one, that the struggles and wounds of each of us impact us all. Likewise, we celebrate together and share our joys. We grow together. We fail together. We celebrate together. We move forward on the path only by walking side by side. By giving ourselves to the greater whole, we find ourselves again. May this morning help us take another step along the way.
We are called as Unitarian Universalists to build the beloved community where all are welcome as blessings. May we strive to share grace and forgiveness with ourselves and each other in the hope of becoming whole and reconciled. Each week we affirm this promise to live and behave as community in covenant. We know that this aim takes work, and so we are committed to live and behave as a community in covenant. Let's recite our covenant that articulates our promises and binds us together in community. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity and fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other.
Indeed, let the love shine through. We hope you will have an experience of that today and make it happen. It looks as though I may need a little bit of help. Typically, we have some candle stewards up here at this time, and Shannon? Because it's time for us to celebrate candles of joy and sorrows. And for those of you who are new with us, this is a tradition that we celebrate every week. And to do so, we prepare ourselves by entering into our hearts. So take a deep breath. Go into your hearts and minds in a very intentional way, remembering that ours is a welcoming community that connects us. It's a spiritual community that enlivens us. It's a sharing community in which our joys are amplified. A caring community in which our sorrows are heard and held in compassion. And during this time that we've all been experiencing over this last 20-something months, may we more than ever listen more deeply to each other, see each other more clearly, grow closer to each other each time we gather. And so, as a way to symbolize this and actually enact it, embody it, you're invited to come forward down the side aisles to these stations with the votive lights, light a candle, and return up the center aisle, or whatever's most convenient for you to get back to your seat, keeping in mind social distancing that not only affords comfort to others, but saves lives. So let's savor this moment of celebration now while Jaime plays our meditation music. Please come forward and light candles with your intentions. Thanks to each of you for sharing your intention by lighting a candle. And thank you to Shannon and Sean for stepping up and serving those who came forward. Each week we place a book out in the foyer for intentions to be read from the pulpit. So today I share with you our gratitude to Glenna Kostick for 10 years of service as religious education aide. I'll speak more about that as the service continues. I know who wrote this one. Happy to be back to work after my bicycle accident. That could be a couple of us here. Hiram, we hear you. Joyful for getting a booster and not a booster shot and feeling fine. Well, now that's not everybody's experience. Good on you. Anyone who's gotten a booster knows that sometimes they can be a little complicated. I always figure you know the thing is working when you don't feel so good afterwards. Let's take a deep cleansing breath and go into our heart of hearts one more time while we complete this portion of our service. Continue to breathe deeply. It's that inspiration that fuels our life. There's no doubt that the word inspiring and spiritual and all of the things that have to do with breathing are such a vital part of coming fully alive. For all our joys, sorrows, and concerns, may we feel empathy and compassion. And may the caring of our community offer a presence, a space of deep kindness, loving, and just action. Amen. It's my joy today to share story wisdom. And soon, I understand that many of our children that are 5 and older are getting vaccinated, and it'll be great to have everybody back up here all huddled together because many of us enjoy that part of witnessing our many children interacting with the story. This story is called Swimming with the Turtles. How many of you have ever swam with turtles? It's good to see it. Then you'll know something about this experience that I had. I like to swim in the ocean, and when I do, I look for sea turtles. I think they're kind of looking for me sometimes. Many of them are called giant because they're 6 or 7 feet long. They're bigger than we are. And they're gentle. And the younger ones that may be 3 or 4 feet long are really curious. They often swim right up to me and look in my face, which is usually covered with a mask, with a snorkel coming out of my mouth. But still, our eyes connect. Woo-hoo. I like swimming side by side with the turtles for as long as I can, because they're much better swimmers than I am, and they tend to go on their way. Now, there's all kinds of giant sea turtles. One is called a leatherback. That's because its shell is not hard. It's more like leather. It's pliable, flexible. They can live up to 125 years. So these sometimes are very ancient beings. Now, mama leatherback turtles come out of the ocean at night, and they climb up onto the sand with their front and rear flippers, And they make a nest by digging a hole with their rear flippers, and they lay their eggs. And they cover over those eggs with the rear flippers to disguise them. There can be 50 to 150 eggs in one of these nests. And then the mama goes back into the ocean and never sees her hatchlings again. Now, sometimes there are people or animals that try to steal the eggs. Some people like to eat the eggs as a special treat and will pay money for those eggs. I don't think it's right to do that. There aren't very many leatherback turtles on the planet, and so there are people who want to help protect their eggs, and these protectors watch for the mamas to come out of the water and begin the process of digging the hole. And the mamas don't mind people being around them while they're doing that. They are focusing on digging that hole and laying those eggs. And the protectors like to wait for the mamas to go back to the ocean, and they unearth the eggs and take them to a protected place, usually within some kind of barricade, so that no one can get in and disturb those eggs. And the way that they dig the holes is because they don't generally have shovels and things with them. They use their flippers to push aside the sand, and much like the mama turtle, dig the same kind of shelter for those eggs. They're safe until they hatch. Pretty cool, huh? I love that the protectors use their arms to protect future leatherback turtles. It reminds me that we're all interconnected as beings on our planet. Living beings connecting with other living beings. And that we have that in common with the turtles and other living beings. And it reminds me of our seventh principle of Unitarian Universalism: respect and reverence for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. So that's the conclusion of the story, and as we sing our children out, I want us to remember how we're all connected and celebrate this fact by paying attention to other ways that we can observe our oneness with all beings in our web of life. And are you all ready to go too? All right. Go in peace. How about this choir, huh? Uplifting. And while the choir returns to their seats, I'll begin our invitation to generosity. You see, our church has a purpose. And one of the larger purposes is to support all of us in becoming more generous with ourselves, specifically with our time and our talent and our treasure. So many of the goals that we have, that we set on an annual basis and we seek to measure and to achieve, are about being of service to one another and to our wider community. And for those of you who are viewing online, we invite you to make a contribution on the link shown on the chat stream. Or you may mail your check into our office and just put First UU in the note. Just make it out to First UU. Those of us in the sanctuary now will have the opportunity to contribute to the baskets being passed by our ushers. Thank you, ushers. Please come forward. And Jaime, we're looking forward to this. I'm going to share with you a poem while our ushers patiently wait by Rabindranath Tagore. The same stream of life that runs through my veins night and day runs through the world and dances in rhythmic measures. It is the same life that shoots in joy through the numberless blades of grass and breaks into tumultuous waves of leaves and flowers. It is the same life that is rocked in the ocean cradle of birth and death, in ebb and flow. I feel my limbs are made glorious by the touch of this world of life, and my pride is from the life throb of ages dancing in my blood at this moment. May our blessings be multiplied through our sharing of them. Thank you, ushers. Thank all of you. Thank you, Jaime. Amen and amen. And Jaime, who's the composer and what's the title of that piece?
A piece I wrote called Blackout.
Blackout. To me, thank you. Yeah. It sort of symbolized a little bit about the magnificence of celebration and how sometimes it comes along in the ordinary things. And then all of a sudden it surprises you with the sforzando. Thank you, Jaime. That's loud and strong, powerful. The month of November, not unlike many other months on our calendar, has at least 5 recognizable holidays, and it's a good time, I think, for us to consider the value and worth of celebrations. So let's start by learning something of the meaning of the word celebrate. Our English word comes from the Latin celebrare, to assemble, to honor. So gathering seems essential, etymologically speaking at least, to celebration, whether we're gathering in church, in home, online, in the public square. Gathering. We typically encounter celebrate as a verb to describe action, to celebrate. They talk about it in the papers and on the news as when there's photo ops and public figures are posing at events, the celebration of such and such happened. Celebration can also mean to publish, to praise, as in recognizing a celebrated artist or writer or someone like that. And in this sense, I like to look out on all y'all and know that there are people viewing on YouTube too. Celebration doesn't necessarily have to be a single action or a single person or a single group. It gets celebrated over and over through the lives of countless individuals over time. Celebrate includes the idea of much practiced, as in a celebrated tradition. And I'd like to see our church always as a place where we feel the opportunity to celebrate. We always have in our minds, in our hearts, what can we celebrate? We celebrate birthdays every week. We're a community that has many things to celebrate. Now, to keep solemn is another definition of celebrate, a usage of it. Centuries before a celebrity was someone featured on People magazine, the idea of celebrity had more to do with people who were the subjects of solemn rites, sometimes religious rites, certainly community rites and civic rites, revered persons, honored persons from different cultures and traditions. We, in a way, have been celebrating our mother today, Mother Earth. Observe is a synonym for celebrate, but it has a much less festive tone. Celebrate and observe are about honoring an occasion, person, or memory, yet observe suggests a form of honoring that is more detached. But to celebrate means to do it with gusto, right? So that brings me to the value of celebration. Why is celebration so important? For one, it actually can boost our well-being. And this is true for major milestones and small acknowledgments alike. One of the main reasons for celebrating is because we have an attitude of gratitude, and we're enjoying the moment and what we have and who we are, instead of focusing, as we often do, on what we don't have, what we did wrong, or what's lacking. We're celebrating the present moment for its fullness, even when we're remembering something from the past. We're acting in the now. And isn't that what we're seeking more of in life? The experience of coming alive in the present moment? Of course, I want to call our attention to the fact that celebrations can have a shadow side. Traditions, holidays, and family gatherings aren't so wonderful for those who have been harmed by those events or those contexts. We all know something of that. So celebrating can be difficult to handle. So we must recognize within these traditions and times of celebration that they can also be a reflection of oppression of some to the benefit of others, and some sad and disturbing memories can be aroused. There have been some harmed in the context of their families and communities. So it's important for us, especially me as minister, to ask during times of celebration how we can be aware of as many possibilities to account for all the things that might come up in celebrating our shared past. What's the essence of celebration? I think in its purest form, that is most universal and true to everyone, it's a kind of coming home that has been obscured in the loss of the rush of our modern lives. Coming together to celebrate our roots, the meaning of our lives, the meaning of an event. Many celebrations become holidays for when we kind of have to take a break from the usual. I talked to a lot of veterans this past week, and we celebrated Veterans Day on Thursday, and I met some people who work for the VA, and I said, I guess it would be kind of an oxymoron if you were working at the Veterans Department and you're supposed to be honoring veterans, so I guess everybody gets the day off, but maybe that's not so. Look at how many of us grow up with special traditions that remind us of home. We've got a big one coming up later this month with Thanksgiving. So maybe a celebration is a recollection or remembrance on a day or occasion when you look around and feel what's most meaningful and give time and energy to that. So a celebration symbolizes a special day, an event, a holiday, a birthday, an anniversary, something historical. And in its warmest sense, we celebrate festive, happy occasions. And in a more solemn and introspective sense, we observe a day memorializing an event like 9/11 or Memorial Day, or as we will next week right here, Transgender Day of Remembrance. So some celebrations become festivals which are expressive of a glorious heritage and culture and traditions and are meant to be times of rejoicing and special moments and high emotions. And for me as minister, I look for the spiritual meaning of celebration, which might just be summed up in one word: gratefulness. In its purest form, it's an occasion to offer thanks. When there's an event in your life special or memorable, a victory or an achievement, perhaps a birth in the family, or a joining of people in the bond of marriage, perhaps a reunion of friends, and perhaps a recovery from a dreaded illness, you celebrate it. You celebrate the fact that you have experienced happiness, and you can remember that, member it in a moment that recalls the vitality of that event and an expression of gratitude to the universe, to the God or goddess of your experience, to the planet, to one another. More importantly, it just might seem appropriate and even necessary to celebrate blessings with sharing them with the less fortunate. That's a true expression of gratitude. When we have something to look forward to or look ahead that's worth celebrating, we feel a certain optimism. And that was the essence for me a couple of weeks ago at our Dia de los Muertos celebration, taking the inevitability of death and casting it as a celebration of life. We did that also recently in celebrating the life of our dear Dave Minnick, which many of you attended, and we had this place full of people singing and celebrating music that was so holy to Dave. So that was a way to take the inevitability of death and cast it as a celebration of life. There are many other life's experiences of less significant proportions to celebrate: a new job, retirement, finishing a marathon, finishing a play or a musical at school. Something similar but less magnificent: lunch with friends, a mental health day off, a visit as grandparents with the kids and grandkids. So before I leave this topic, let's look at some special days in November. We just observed Veterans Day, a tribute to military veterans who have served in the U.S. Armed Forces. The date is 11/11, the date of the World War I armistice, signed in 1918 by the Allies, represented by France and Great Britain, and Germany. And it was done in a French forest at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. President Eisenhower later changed that name from Armistice Day to Veterans Day in 1954. The VA estimates there are about 22 million veterans in the United States today. Around 9 million of them are over 65. 1.6 million are women. And as a practical gift today, I would invite all of our veterans and those currently serving in military service to rise in body or spirit. Go ahead, please do. We want to see you and recognize you for your service. Thank you so much. Thank you for serving our country the way you did. We are proud to have a relationship with you. Even if you may not think of yourself as one, you really are a hero. Transgender Day of Remembrance is an annual observance on November 20th that honors the memory of transgender people whose lives were taken from them in an act of anti-trans violence. We will be led in a solemn annual service on Sunday. It's a very touching service. It will be led by our trans and non-binary group, TANG. They'll tell us next week how we can show support and work for justice in our trans community. So I greatly encourage you to come and partake in that. I'm not in the pulpit, so I'm going to come and sit with you and celebrate, memorialize this service. Of course, Thanksgiving will be coming up on Thursday, November 25th. And sure, it originated during the colonial period and arose out of a melding of several traditions, primarily in gratitude for safe journeys, arrivals, welcomings, peace, and bountiful harvests. So we'll get the opportunity to talk about that on the Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend when visiting minister, the Reverend Nell Newton, brings us a service entitled, What to Do with the Leftovers. You'll want to come to that one. Now, National Native American Heritage Day is on the day after Thanksgiving, Friday, November 26th, and it honors American Indians across our nation. The day celebrates their vibrant cultures, traditions, and heritages while recognizing the many contributions that Native Americans, or American Indians, as many have told me they prefer to be called, have made. This celebration officially took root in an international conference on discrimination sponsored by the United Nations in 1977. The 8 days of Hanukkah 2021, also called the Festival of Lights because the 8 lights of the menorah are lit during those 8 days, maybe the 9 days. It'll begin on the evening of Sunday, November 28th, and end on the evening of Monday, December 6th. We need to start putting some Christmas decorations in this place around that time, don't we? Finally, one special occasion of celebration is upon us today, and that is the 10th anniversary of our faithful religious education aide, Glenna Kostick. All are invited to join us on the patio after the service for a celebration of recognition and the presentation of a beautiful lucite and cake. Please help us recognize Glenna and celebrate her faithful service. Thank you for bearing with this somewhat less formal than usual message about a matter of worth, celebrating. I'm going to invite us now to rise in body or spirit and go to our gray hymnal again and turn to number 29, and we will sing the 3 verses of Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee. Remember, you're addressing the God of your understanding, or if that is not even a concept for you, we're addressing the concept that you have.
Joyful, joyful, we adore thee, God of glory, God of love. Hearts unfold like flowers before thee, hail thee as the sun above. Melt the clouds of sin and sadness, drive the pain of doubt away. Living of immortal gladness, fill us with the joy of day. All thy works with joy surround thee, earth and heaven reflect thy rays. Stars and planets sing around thee, center of unbroken praise. Field and forest, vale and mountain, blossom, grove, flashing sea, planting bird and flowing fountain, call us to rejoice in thee. Thou art giving and forgiving, ever blessing, ever blessed, wellspring of the joy of living, ocean depth of happy rest. Ever singing, march we onward, victors in the midst of strife. Joyful music lifts us onward in the triumph song of life.
Thank you, and please be seated. Music by Beethoven. As we go from here, let's remember to celebrate the moments of life. Take some action. Make a toast. Say, I love you. Savor a bite of special food. Sing a song. Give a high five. Light a candle. Take a deep breath. Animate the moment with a powerful celebratory action that fires up positive energy, and enjoy the goodness that you can share with others in your life. There will always be birthdays and big celebrations like Thanksgiving and graduations and fireworks on New Year's Eve, maybe in San Antonio. And these are fun, for sure, but it's the many celebrations of life that come back to the corners of my memory because they carry the most meaning. One example is the phone call I got 2 years ago in the fall of 2019 inviting me to come out of retirement and to consider serving as your minister. Yes? That was a moment. And another is the weekly ritual that Carolyn and I enjoy of sitting together and watching the PBS NewsHour on Fridays, sharing a meal and celebrating the week's accomplishments. We enjoy the news, the moment, and we act like there's something worth celebrating. So if you look for the occasion to celebrate, there always is. Let's enjoy the postlude by Jaime and gather on the patio to offer Glenna our celebratory love and appreciation. Celebrate, celebrate, dance to the music. Jaime?